the Toritto case raises a question of what exactly is it you have to do to be found guilty of a crime by way of complicity. So, we know the mens rea. It's generally that you intend the crime to occur, unless it's a crime that involves a result, in which case it tracks the mens rea required for that result. Okay, complicated enough, but we've got that one by now. What about what you have to actually do? What is the actus reus for complicity? So we know that if you are actually guilty of the underlying crime of murder or drug dealing, we would go and we would look at the set of statutes that relate to that particular crime, or the statute that relates to that particular crime. We would see the mens rea, we would see the actus reus, and it might not be entirely clear, but we would know what words to use. It becomes a little more complicated when you're trying to say that a defendant engaged in the case of Toritto, he engaged in drug dealing under a theory of complicity because he somehow assisted or aided and abetted the crime. He made it easier. He encouraged. What do those things exactly look like? Well, the Toritto case doesn't give us any clear lines, but it gives us a nice story. And it tells us that this is going to be an incredibly fact-bound account. And very often, and this is the case of Toritto itself and many others like it, that many times when you're looking at a case in which the claim is complicity, or the theory is complicity, you can a lot of times leave that theory out and claim that what the defendant did, in fact, created the crime. But in Toritto, the prosecution chose to use that theory because Toritto goes to this drug deal with this other guy, and he just sits there. He doesn't say much after the drug deal occurs. The actual person who does the sale goes and gets the drugs out of Toritto's car. So the drugs have been in Toritto's car and hidden in Toritto's car. And then Toritto suggests to the actual seller, you might want to count the cash. But he's sitting there the whole time. And the question is, has he done enough, not only to show that he is intending to be a part of this and intending to further this thing, but has he, and that's the mens rea, has he actually done anything? Has he aided? Has he assisted? And the court says he has. He's actually a participant, the court seems to say, that he's a participant who isn't directly engaging in the activity. By sitting there, by delivering the actual seller to the location with the drugs in his own car, hidden away in his own car, and by giving the dealer advice. You might want to check the money before we wrap things up here. That's enough to show that he has aided this crime and that he's intentionally done so. You can't really draw any great rules. I mean, this is kind of like your proximity test from torts with Mrs. Palsgraf. We know exactly how to resolve the Palsgraf case when the very same facts happen again, but it's going to be an incredibly fact-bound type of question. But just know that you have to show something more than mere knowledge and presence. You have to show some sort of assistance, and unless this is a crime involving results, you're going to have to show that the defendant intended the crime.